Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Nostalgia Podcast. This episode is a repeat episode. It's going to be the full Traveling Ears Vacation Disney chat. This was our interview with Stephanie Howard over at Traveling Ears Vacation. She is a Disney travel agent amongst other vacations as well. But Trey recently went to Disney, and I went there about a month ago, so I thought this would be a perfect premise, and next week you can anticipate, or probably the following week after, now that I think about it, you can anticipate a Disney episode, so I figured this would be a perfect setup. As always, please head over to Apple Podcasts, drop that 5-star, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about us. Help us grow this audience. Without further ado, let's jump into it.
Trigger warning for this podcast may contain explicit material, unlike every other episode we've ever done.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for pressing play today. In today's episode of Nerd Nostalgia, you're going to find Irvin, Brian, and Trey with a special guest. We have Stephanie Howard from Traveling Ears Vacation. Find her on Instagram and also on her website, travelingears.com. And of course, please head over to Apple Podcasts, drop that 5 stars, tell your friends, family, coworkers about it. And you know the drill. Before we get started, here's a quick clip for you to enjoy.
Irvin, this is the sound of Trey and me leaving you a voicemail because you're not on the Zoom call for recording. So fuck you. Oh shit. I mean, hey, Sweet Pea.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Nerd Nostalgia Podcast. And today we have a very special guest from Traveling Ears, Stephanie Howard. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me tonight.
Did you like my campy voice? Did I sound like an announcer?
Trey, that's just your regular voice.
Yeah. You sounded wonderful, Trey. That was a wonderful introduction. Way better than Brian could have ever done. So
Absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
come my lines are always the one that gets on the promo clips then?
It's because you're always spouting nonsense. That's why.
exactly.
It's catchy,
Stuff,
but it's still
stuff
nonsense.
I don't remember.
Literally.
Welcome,
Legit.
Stephanie. Thank you for joining us today. We are super excited to have you. I am going to let you just kind of talk about yourself to get everybody to get to know you.
Okay, pressure's on. I am Stephanie. I am a concierge travel planner, which basically means I am a travel agent, and I specialize in Disney destinations. That's a huge focus for us, as well as all-inclusive vacations down in the Caribbean, Mexico, do a little bit in Hawaii. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm a travel agent, and like I said, we've got a big focus on Disney. So Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, and then the Disney Resort down in Hawaii, which is Aulani. We're very much so immersed in the Disney world.
So I think that's the major reason.
Disney.
Disney, yay.
How can you not love it? Everything about it.
I have a huge confession, and I don't know if you know this about me. I've never been to Disney before. As big of a nerd as I am, I've never once set foot on a Disney campus.
You know, I think we talked about this a while ago, and we were like, you've got to go with your nephew.
Yep, nephews, yep.
Yeah. We were like, you've got to get down there. It'd be like their first visit and yours all at the same time.
Yeah, with COVID, I think it kind of threw everything out this year, but maybe for next year we could plan that out. But I think I want to say it was the plan for this year, and then those got scrapped early on. And so we're hoping that next year, and everybody will be a little bit older and able to appreciate it more, because currently the youngest is, I think he's 5, so he'll be 6 next year. So I think that's a perfect age.
Good
right?
age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're
6,
like really
34.
into everything. They can ride everything.
Yeah.
6 and 34.
Same thing.
Hey, I've got grandparents that go and they take, their adult children and then their grandchildren, and it's everybody's first visit. Like, and they're in their 60s.
That's awesome. So there is no age restriction. Boom. Perfect.
No, gosh, no.
Oh, they'll let you in, Brian.
Ah.
But yeah, I've actually only been one time. We went to the one in Florida, so that's World, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't do the full Monty. We just did kind of a quick view, we actually went for a competition and at the Wild World of Sports down there. And,
cheer competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And so, most of your time is taken up at the competition, so you don't really have all the time to spend. But we stayed on property. That was cool. And then we were able to, I think it was like the last day or so that we were there, we were able to go out. And I remember I got so sick. I was like, came down with like the flu or something. So I just powered through. I was like, I can't miss it. Never been before. I was probably like 12 or 13 maybe. And I was like, I got to power through. And I'm just walking through, like stumbling around, high fever, just to give a shit. Just like, let's go.
And of course, that's what you remember now. You've got to do a redo with your kiddos.
Exactly. But yeah, for me, and we've discussed this, Ann and I have discussed it. I don't think it's time yet because Elizabeth's only 4, and then Quade will be 1 in
little
February. And so it's just basically carrying them around. However, we were going to have a friend that was having a wedding in Miami. And so we were just going to go ahead and we'll do it for Elizabeth, right? Because we're going to be in the area. Right. We'll just use points and go and, maybe spend like 2 days maybe and just make a week of that.
I know a good travel agent for that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then COVID, right? So that got scrapped. We actually were going to call you. We were going to call you.
You mean COVID ruined your vacation? That's weird.
Can't believe it. Can you believe
so it? Odd. It's like the motto of 2020.
I know, right? Well, it was supposed to be in January. But yeah, it's been postponed pretty much indefinitely now. Like they just haven't rescheduled because it's like why to spend deposits and stuff like that if we can't even have anybody that comes.
Yeah, I feel that. I've got a lot of brides and honeymooners doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So on that topic, I know honeymooners, husbands, that kind of stuff. That's where my brain is going. Your husband, he helps you out with this. And how did you specifically get into this line of work? Like specifically into like the Disney travel concierge?
I guess the first time we took our daughter, our kids now are Paisley's 6, Parker's 3. They've been going since Parker was 7 months old, his first time. But Paisley, obviously she was our first to go. Bo and I went in high school. We went in college together. We went, married without kids. So when we went to take Paisley for her first time, we were like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what to do with, a 2-year-old at Disney for the very first time. And so we actually reached out to a travel agent, and she just so happens to work. She also does business with my husband's grown-up job. And so she helped us plan our first trip with Paisley. And I just remember talking to her. We'd have these planning calls with her. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. You just basically get to talk about Disney World all day long. And at that time I was doing digital marketing, and I had been doing it for a while. And she was like, well, I think it's really cool what you do. I have no concept of social media and blogging and YouTubing and videos and content creation. She was like, I know you've been to Disney so many times, you just kind of needed help planning with the kid. But she was like, what if, you came on board and helped me with my marketing, and then I also help you kind of, ramp up to be like a travel agent. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Sounds like a ton of fun. Maybe I'll make enough to cover a vacation a year. And sure enough, it eventually just snowballed in the best way possible. And so had to just completely quit the corporate world altogether and basically take everything that I learned marketing for everybody else's business and start marketing my own. It was hard for about a year because there was a year of overlap, because being in the travel industry, we don't get paid until our clients start traveling. And so it takes, a good year before you're having that steady clients traveling, every single day, every single week. So yeah, that's really how I got started. Kind of put my marketing experience towards my own brand instead of somebody else's for once, and just have had a lot of fun with it. And being a mom with 2 little ones, it's easy to be passionate about, and it's Disney. So, it's really, for the most part, it's been a lot of fun. COVID and all of 2020 has been a huge learning curve, but I think it kind of came at a time where maybe I just needed the extra challenge for a while, because, I was just programmed, planning all these vacations, in my sleep. COVID hit, and it's here you go. This is your new job. You're actually semi like a nurse because now your clients have to be tested and you have to tell them what kind of test to get and where to get it and what day. And so that's kind of how I got started. And like I said, it's just a ton of fun. And, you know, business is definitely like evolving and still thriving in a world of COVID, which is amazing. And I'm very grateful for.
I think that's awesome for two reasons. Number one, you know, you live the dream that a lot of people want is, you know, start off at the corporate job and then follow your dreams and start doing something that you love. And, you know, you'll never work a day in your life if you do something you love, all that kind of stuff. And number two, the fact that you're able to adapt so quickly to COVID, that was going to be one of my questions, you know, how that kind of impacted it, but shot right through that and answered it awesome. And you're like, no, adapt, overcome. So that's cool.
I mean, there's no option because, you know, I've got, you know, every year, 500 families looking at me like, what do we do with our vacation?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, you know, it's kind of up to me to help make those recommendations, but also be incredibly, you know, sensitive to the topic because some people just aren't, you know, comfortable traveling right now. Whereas others are like, we don't care. We just want to get out. Like our kids are young, they're safe, they're not in school. Yeah. It's been a lot of adapting, a lot of changing, and a lot of like continuously staying on top of these new restrictions, and not really so much in regards to Disney, but I just mean travel restrictions in regards to different countries. Cause I do have clients all over the Caribbean right now that, you know, it's all different everywhere they go.
Super interesting. I saw you recently came back from a trip from the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think I saw that on your social.
Did.
That looked
Yeah,
beautiful.
Jamaica. Oh,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
That chapel overlooking the water. That's the video I'm talking about. Wow.
I called Bo and I was like, I know we're supposed to renew our vows in the Bahamas, but like, could we just move it here to Jamaica, please? He's like, no.
He's like,
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time in Jamaica since August, and grateful for the opportunity for the resorts that I work with down there to invite us down and check out the resorts. And just, it's very helpful. And we've been to Disney twice also since August. And so it's just it's very helpful for me as a travel advisor, very helpful for my clients to see me there and for them to understand exactly what the experience is right now at Disney and the Caribbean at these all-inclusive resorts, because it is different. And I'm very transparent about that. I just think it's really kind of been the one component that has really helped keep business as usual as much as possible right now, because there's, you know, a lot of agents in the travel industry they're having a hard time with it right now because, you know, they're not comfortable traveling, and we are, so we're capitalizing on it. We have a lot of clients that are like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you and your kids in the park and y'all feel safe. So it's been a busy 5 months. Fun, but busy.
Good.
How do you come to figure out what your individual client needs or wants from a vacation experience?
So kind of the first step in the process is they go onto my website and request a quote, and adapted it over the years to really help narrow down the options. You know, what time of year are they wanting to travel? What year? Or, I mean, I've got people that are like, hey, we want to travel in 2024. And like, well, we can't plan 2024 yet. So the quote inquiry form on our website helps narrow things down a little bit, but it doesn't really get, you know, all of the information across. You know, it's just like an email that comes in to me. So I don't get to like meet the family, you know, through that email. So usually I'll set up a phone consultation with some clients. Some are, you know, they're busy moms, they're entrepreneurs, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're surgeons, and they don't have time for a phone call. So it's basically all through email or text at that point. They all have my phone number. They all have me on speed dial as much or as little as they want to. But the phone calls really just help paint the picture, like for the family, what they like, what they don't like. If it's a couple getting married, what their preferences are for their honeymoon. Do they want like a party theme? Do they want something more relaxing and secluded? You know, if it's a Disney vacation, do they want Disney World? Do they want Disneyland? Because they're so different. And I recommend different parks based on different families and kind of what their expectations are. So the phone calls are really, really helpful. I help families all over the world, so it's actually very rare that I meet them in person. I've actually met probably more of my clients in the park or on cruise ships than I've actually met them, you know, at a Starbucks or, you know, in like a local restaurant or something, meeting them, which is kind of crazy. I think I've probably only had, cool. Yeah, like I usually tell them like, hey, you know, I'll be on the cruise ship with you, or hey, I'll be in the parks this day. And it never fails. It's like an unplanned meetup. We'll just like randomly be at a beach on an excursion or be walking through, where was I last time? I was waiting in line for Peter Pan's flight like 2 weeks ago, and I had like 6 clients in the park, and one of them was like, Stephanie. And of course we can't recognize anybody because we all have masks on. And so I'm like, okay, dark hair, 2 little girls. Oh, it's Shelly, you know? So as much as I wish I could meet all of them face to face, a lot of times I don't. A lot of times it's just a phone call. And a lot of them don't want to do Zoom because they're busy moms with kids running around in the background. So phone call is really kind of the best way to really get a feel for the client, what they're looking for out of their vacation, and to kind of help them like narrow down all those options because there's so many.
Do you send more people to world or land?
World by far, but not just because, I prefer to send people to world, mainly because I would say most of my clientele is more like central to like East Coast. So world is just a little bit easier for most of them to get to, a lot in the South and actually a lot up north. I do a lot of Ohio, Kentucky, New York, New Jersey. So, but I do book a lot. I would say probably 85% of my Disney clients go to world and 15 go to land. And a lot of times they're looking at me like, which one should we go to? And kind of based on like kids' ages and amount of time they have to spend there and how, are they driving, are they flying? That kind of helps determine which side they should go to.
What percent of your clients are fruitful people like Trey, and what percentage of them are kind of childless old men like Irvin and I? Trey, do you like that I called you fruitful?
I did.
It took me a second to figure out what you were getting at.
I was just waiting for him to go somewhere else. I really was.
I thought so too. I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
No bells. So, most of my clients are parents. 90% are parents, with kids. I do have maybe 10% that are honeymooners or 10% that are just, married couples or dating and they just want to go, they want to go to like an all-inclusive somewhere down, Mexico, somewhere real quick and easy. So yeah, I would say most of my clients are parents. Most are women, but my male clients, I will say, are the easiest to work with. Like when I get a male client, I'm like, yes, like it's just, you guys know exactly what you want, exactly where you want to go, how much you want to spend, how long you want to spend there, what your kids want to do, what you want to eat. Whereas like moms are like, oh, I don't know, what about this?
Is it what the kids want to do? Is it what the kids want to do? Or is it what the dad is telling them that they're going to do?
So usually the dads, I think I enjoy that the most because the dads just like relinquish control. They're like, I don't know what to do, you do, and my wife doesn't want to do it. So like take it and run with it.
And
that's
that
like
feeling.
my favorite. Yeah. And those are honestly my favorite. And I do have a lot of moms that do the same, but those are my favorite because then, I feel like I'm not kind of like not walking on eggshells, but it's just kind of like, this is exactly what I would do with my kids at this age, And so it's like, we're going to eat here, we're going to ride these rides, and we're going to go take naps, and we're going to change, or we're just not going to have any plans, one specific day. Because while I am a heavily focused Disney travel agent, and there's a lot of itinerary planning and just, like minute by minute planning that could go into it, that's not my personality. I think it's not enjoyable when it's too overly planned. But I do think everybody needs structure. So for the most part, most of my clients are like a happy medium, kind of like, look, we know where we're going, we know what we're going to eat, but you don't have to tell us, which bathroom we have to go to and what time we have to eat a Mickey pretzel, because I have had a few requests like that. And I'm like, I'm honest with them. I'm like, you're a mom of a 2 and a 4-year-old, like, and 2 boys. You have no idea where you're going to be at 9:02 a.m. and nor do I when I'm not there with you.
After a vacation, do you do an exit interview with your clients to figure out what went well, what went wrong, what was stressful, what was easy, and then kind of improve your process?
I do. Yeah. So, and it's something that I'm trying to automate. So automation is one thing that is it's not impossible, but so as a marketer, automation is like our livelihood. Like we need everything automated. But as a travel agent, so much of it is personalized, especially for a Disney vacation. So it's something that is very manual, but we do get it out to our clients. And timing, I think, is key on that. Obviously, if they get back on a Sunday, we don't want to bombard them with that on a Monday. They're never going to respond. But yeah, I do send them what I call an experience transformer. And it's basically just like not a survey, but kind of like an open field form with different questions geared towards their vacation, but then also helps me as well. So questions on there are kind of like, what was your favorite part of your vacation? What was your children's favorite part of your vacation? Is there anything that you wish you would have known about this destination before you went? And those are really helpful because sometimes I've gotten feedback and I'm like, wow, I actually never even thought about that. So yeah, I try to get that out to everybody. Automation would be really nice, but we'll get there.
Maybe a little survey monkey action may be needed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really quick and easy. It's an email template that I have that just goes straight to them. It would just be nice if like it knew, hey, the Howards are getting home on the 20th and this needs to go to them 10 days later automatically.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback have you gotten?
It's all for the most part, it's all very positive, especially right now. People are so happy to just be out of their homes. So like, as of right now, everybody is pretty much like, oh my gosh, this was the best trip ever. It was so needed. Other feedback that I've gotten like pre-COVID, just because a lot has changed this year as far as the experience, if I'm being completely transparent. But like pre-COVID, I would get something about transportation is like really one of the first things that confuses the most people. And it's the one thing that I try to get them to understand before they get there. And it still just kind of blows their mind. But I feel like that was kind of one of the biggest ones is, it would have been nice to know that we could have taken a boat here. And so, I take that personally. I'm like, I didn't tell them they could take a boat, And one of the ways that I try to work that into kind of our business model and how we kind of help overcome those is I've created an ebook. And so everybody that books their trip with us is sent this ebook, and it's basically everything that they need to know, but not every page of the internet. And it's in like bite-sized chunks, and it's very digestible so that, they have all the options of transportation before they go. They know all of the dining options before they go. So they can't, at that time when they come to me and they're like, we didn't know we could have taken a boat. I'm like, well, the book's only like 18 pages long, and it's not even a book. It's a digital file. But most people love that. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever because I don't have to spend hours on YouTube or reading blogs or stalking Instagram accounts. So yeah, so usually when I get that kind of feedback, I'm like, where can I add that in so that I don't get this feedback again? Or like, to improve that part of their experience. And so usually it comes back to something that could have been relayed to them beforehand. And that's usually when I go back to the ebook and I'm like, okay, this could easily be plugged in here and, kind of solve that right then.
That's what we have to deal with sometimes with kiddos and stuff. So. On the topic of feedback and everything like that, I'm curious, there's obviously several different Disney parks around the world, right? You mentioned you've sent people everywhere around the world. So I'm curious, how many of those parks have you been to? How many have you sent your clients to? Because I know there's like the one in Paris, right? You have one in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. What else is there out there?
Shanghai, Hong Kong. So I've only had one client go outside of the U.S. part, and they went to Paris, Disneyland Paris. And it's mainly because, as a travel agent, we can book anything, anywhere in the world we can book. But do we know it, And that's a really big thing to me is I've never been there. Eventually I will go there. I will hit every park all over the world. And I follow a lot of bloggers and YouTubers and Instagram accounts that's where they are. And, I know a lot about them based on that, but I've never been myself. And that's a really big aspect and a really big component of really knowing the destination. And so, so many people are just kind of like, y'all do Disney all the time. And I'm like, it's always changing. And so like, it's my job to know it like that. But, and I don't get a ton of requests for any of the parks over in Asia or Europe either. I get some and I just, politely let them know like, hey, like it's really not in our realm of expertise. If you want to be my guinea pig, let's have some fun with it. But for the most part, they either probably just book on their own, which is fine. And eventually I do hope to kind of learn that aspect of it. But from what I've learned is most of the US based agents typically only book the U.S. parks, which is Disney World and Disneyland. And then obviously they're not parks, but the cruise line and then the resort down in Hawaii. So yeah, obviously I've been to all of the ones in the States.
No, that makes perfect sense. I didn't know if you had any experience with it, but you're not going to eat Tex-Mex in Michigan, right? Like that's not what you do.
Yeah, no.
You don't eat any food in Michigan, right, Brian?
Yeah.
I can attest to that. Don't eat food in Michigan.
Or
drink the water.
You eat what they call food, but I wouldn't describe it as such. It's more like food shaped nourishment.
There you go.
Awful.
Stephanie, if you're from Michigan, I'm sorry that you're
No.
from that place.
No, I think that's why I find it funny. 'cause
For our
I have no
Michigan
concept.
listeners, we apologize. We're just joking.
Yes, we also apologize that you're from Michigan. Thank you, Irvin, for reminding me of that.
Oh, that's good.
Too funny. And so, of the
You know,
parks,
it's not good. It's the food in Michigan.
of the parks and the resorts and the cruises that you've done, what is your favorite and what's the best like family one, do you think, in your opinion?
Oh, I know. And it's such a loaded question. And I always preface this because everybody always asks, well, what would you do? And I don't like to play favorite child between the parks, but I would have to say that Disneyland is, that's my place. It's just, they're very different. Disney World and Disneyland, they're like stepsisters, and they have a lot of similarities, but the overall vibe and the overall experience is completely different between the two.
Yeah, dive into that. I'm
so-
curious, what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so Disney World it's massive. There's 4 parks, there's over 30 resorts, and they're adding more, and they're buying more land and building more resorts and more rides.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, you can't walk, and you can walk to like 2 of the parks from like 4 of the resorts. But like,
Wow.
say I was staying on site at Disney World, chances are I'm not going to be walking to a hotel. It's going to be very slim. Walking to a park from your hotel just because of the distance. And also Disney World takes a lot more of your time because you've got 4 huge parks. They're exhausting. And I almost always have my clients do a rest day where they basically don't do a park for a full day. Because you're traveling with little ones, and there's, you're like, everybody's so stimulated. It's so much on the parent to remember everything when you're in the parks as it is, on top of just being a mom in general. And then they're tired and they went to bed late and they got up really early. And so, for a true enjoyable Disney World experience, you're there for at least, 6 nights, with 4 full days in the parks at a minimum. So, if you've got a full week, by all means, Disney World is a great option. There's a lot more planning that goes into a Disney World vacation. There's more character dining experiences. There's more restaurants in general. There's over 150 different restaurants on site. And then there's almost 20 character dining experiences kind of all over the park. So there's just a lot more planning because there's a lot more options there, which I love. And that's really why I got into this, was because, when you think of a Disney vacation, there's all these different options and all these different combinations of how you can do your vacation. And so my goal is to simplify that, because nobody has time to do that. But for me, it's my job. That is my time. So Disney World just takes a lot more of your time. And a lot of people will say that Disney World is more stressful, just because there's a lot more logistics of getting around. Like, do I get on a bus? Do I get on a boat? Do I ride on the Skyliner? Do I go to this park or that park? There's just a lot more options at Disney World. Whereas over at Disneyland, it's just like that, just like chill California vibe. The parks are, I could throw a rock from one park to the other. It's been a while since I played softball, but I could probably throw a rock and hit the hotels. One of the hotels actually connects 2 of the parks. So like if you're staying at the Grand Californian Resort, you actually walk out of that resort into California Adventure Park. Like there's no,
cool.
You don't go, there is a main entrance as well, but if you're staying at that resort, that's the biggest benefit, is walking out of the resort directly into the park. So with little ones, that's probably my favorite, just because mine are still little. The rides are still great at both, East and West Coast. But just overall, it's just a lot more laid back at Disneyland. Instead of there being 30 something hotels, there's only 3. Instead of there being 4 parks, there's only 2. As far as character dining, instead of there being like 20, there's 4. So just fewer options. It's less complex, much more go with the flow, which I think is, and that's kind of something that I try to establish with a lot of clients kind of on that first contact is what's your personality? Are you kind of like, are you keyed up and you're ready to go? Like you want everything, plan for a week? Or do you just kind of want to wake up, walk out of your hotel, walk 100 yards down to your the park, whatever park you want to go to that day. If you don't want to.
Yes, that one for me. That'd be my option.
Yeah. Go back to the hotel midday, change shoes, change clothes, get dressed for dinner, go back to the park. It's just, and it's weird, but the staff is different. Even though they're both trained very similarly, the cast members they're different. They're definitely more laid back over at Disneyland.
You've mentioned character dining a couple of times. What is that?
So character dining is basically a way for your children and your family to interact with characters without having to wait in a really long line. So the characters are not sitting at the table with you. I know a lot of people are kind of wondering, what do we do? What do they do? So it's in a restaurant, usually at one of the more nicer restaurants. And by nicer, I don't mean fancy. Everybody is in park clothes and tennis shoes. And you're seated, and it is a seated meal for the most part, with either, kind of like a pre-selected menu where you select your appetizer, your entree, your dessert. Some are buffets. And then essentially the characters kind of make an appearance, come around the tables, interact with the kids, talk to them, sign autographs, take pictures, and they just kind of rotate the restaurant. And so depending on where you're dining at and which characters you're dining with, kind of depends on the experience. So some restaurants, for example, at Magic Kingdom, the Be Our Guest restaurant, there's only one character there, and it's the Beast. He is the star of the show, and he's a really big deal, and that's one of the prime dining experiences there. Whereas over at Cinderella's Royal Table, also a really big deal, also a really hard one to get, but you've got 5 or 6 princesses walking around at all times, pretty much. So, and then sometimes they'll do a little, they call it a princess processional, where the princesses will kind of, depending on the restaurant, take the kids, they all kind of line up and sing and dance around the restaurant. And then the princesses, I'll bring them back to, to their respected tables. So it's just a really fun way. You've got to eat. So everybody gets to eat. If you're an adult, you're most definitely going to be drinking. And, it's just a fun way for, me too, Irvin.
Yeah, we did thumbs up, guys. I know for y'all listening.
Yeah, I was shaking my head or nodding my head.
Everybody's yes, definitely alcohol. Yes.
Yes. So it's just a really kind of fun, cute way for the kids to interact with the characters, and it kind of a more different setting than waiting in line, just standing next to them, taking a picture in the park, signing an autograph. It's a little bit more intimate. And you're getting a meal out of it too. So character dining is a huge part of the experience.
Trey, are you taking notes for this, for your future one? Because I hope you are. I didn't even know about that. So that's.
I don't want to say that I already know this.
Why would he take notes? It's recorded, Irvin. That's
true.
That's what we're doing right now.
This is true, Brian.
Kind of the point of doing this, but we, like I said, we had started the process of looking into where we wanted to go, and of course we were kind of pigeonholed into world, right? Because we were going to be in Florida, so it's why
right.
I'm not going to go to California and then go to Miami. Not doing it. So yeah, we were going to do that, and then we were also going to take my mom along, so it was going to be kind of generational.
Brilliant. Always take a grandparent.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of a requirement because she was going to watch them for the wedding. And so it was cool, she gets to go, and we'll book your ticket or whatever, and you just get to be chaperone, and then Ann and I can go do cool stuff. But yeah, we started looking into that, and again, my son is so young, he's not going to remember it. He is barely crawling right now. So it's anything that we do would excite him just because it's something new. Right. Whereas my daughter is a little bit older, and, princesses are her jam. That's right. That's her deal. Right. So it was okay, do we go to, Cinderella's castle and do the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique? And then do we do,
look at you,
I'm
Trey.
telling you, man.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I looked. I again don't know nearly as much as you do, but for the things that because I was doing a very specific thing to research what would be for her. But before it got to the point to where it's okay, I need to call in a professional. Somebody ate a
I'm
bat
always
or
here.
whatever, whatever happened.
Yeah, whatever happened.
So, but yeah, I mean, again, it was my experience, 20 years ago now, was very fly by night. We're just going to go out and walk. But we were both, my brother and I were both older, so we could just kind of, okay, we'll just make it happen, But we didn't have any of the fast passes. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of waiting in line. There was a lot of just kind of aimlessly walking around, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. It's just not, I don't feel like you get the full experience, because we just had to work around the other event that was going on at the time. And so I don't think we got as much out of it as we could have. So we'll need to
one day.
Yeah.
It's in your future.
Soon.
One day.
Yeah, soon.
Soon.
Well, one of my favorite things about the dads, I was telling you that it's so easy working with you guys, is I have these, well, I'll work with the mom, and the mom's like, this is absolutely the only time we're going. Like, my husband is not going to have it. This is one and done. And the husband is just kind of like along for the ride, doesn't want anything to do with it. And it never fails. As soon as they get home, the husband is the first one to call me. It's like, we had the best time, because you guys are just like big kids. So when you're in your element, you're like, I got to go back.
That's why I want to go. I want to go.
So what is,
have to.
So we'll go male and female. So what is your favorite ride or attraction or thing to do at any of the parks across the world? And then what is Bo's?
I would say, and it's probably the same. I can call them in here though, if we need to like feud it out. It's probably Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom. It's a simulation ride based on the movie Avatar. I mean, the technology is out of this
pretty cool.
world.
I didn't even know that existed. So that's
Neither
awesome.
did I. I'm like,
oh man, the first time we rode it, we waited in line for almost 3 hours.
Wow.
I still say to this day, and we ride it every time we go, I would wait 3 hours again every time to ride it.
from a professional that often goes to Disneyland and Disney World, that's pretty big. Okay. Avatar.
And I don't like to wait in line for a lot of things, but that is one. Bo, he can sometimes not be a huge thrill seeker. So usually it's like, okay, I'll wait back he'll wait back with the kids, and I'm waiting in line by myself. He really likes Rock and Roller Coaster.
See, I did do that one. Yeah, I did do that one. And I took my dad on that one when we went, again, this was the early 2000s. He's claustrophobic. It's
dark.
It was dark, and he was strapped down. And these guys know my dad. I think you might have met my dad one time, maybe. But anyway, he's a big. I think
in a football game.
Yeah. So he's a big guy, strapped down in that thing, and it's dark, and like you can't see what's going on. I just kept talking to him. I was like, "Hey,
it was his favorite.
Look at this, look at that, look at that," and he enjoyed it. He did end up enjoying it because I kept his mind off of it long enough until we got going. And as soon as we were moving, he was cool.
Right.
But until
he went upside down.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That was an experience with him. Like, I enjoyed it, and it was kind of another roller coaster to me, because I am the thrill seeker, or used to be. I don't know. I haven't really been to amusement parks in the last while, but that was cool for me to go, and I wanted to go on it. And I don't think my little brother could, because he wasn't tall enough. And like, it was, it was kind of all of these things came together. So my dad was the only one that was going to go with me on it. And I got this giant claustrophobic monster next to me. So that was fun. That was fun.
Shout out to Jay.
Yeah. But the Avatar one sounds cool.
It's pretty amazing. And it's funny because, you have one, like with our kids, we've got one thrill seeker and one like that's terrified of her own shadow. So it's really neat to kind of see the dynamic when you actually get to take your kids and you do all these things that you've done that you did as a kid with your parents. And now you're taking your own children and doing the exact same things and riding the exact same rides and taking the exact same pictures like that you have on Dumbo or, Winnie the Pooh, all of these like old classic rides that have been around for forever.
So would you say that like that the Disney obsession runs in the family? Is it like one of those things that's like instilled in you as a kid and then you pass it on? Because I mean, there are people that go, that go every couple of years or every decade maybe. And then there are the folks that go biannually, or even more than, once a quarter or something.
Once a month if
yeah,
you're
exactly.
a Howard.
Like,
Guilty.
no, and that's not fair because that's her job, and like that makes perfect sense. But
true.
like, there are people that are not associated with Disney in any way or travel, and they go so much for every.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of families, especially a lot of families that live in California and in Florida. There are a lot, or that have family that live there, so it's really easy for them to get there and to stay there, because it's not cheap to go to Disney. And that's why a lot of families only go once a year, once every 2 years. And I get that. So a lot of, I think, like the diehards live there or nearby or have family that do. I mean, we went as kids, but we really didn't start going all the time until college. We went a couple of times a year with his family. And then once we started taking our own kids, we were like, okay, I mean, it's so neat. Well, just to experience it through their little eyes for the first time, for the second time. And then every time you go, there's something different they can do, or something new, or something that, wasn't even built the last time they went. So it's like, it's ever changing. And so the experience changes every time.
On that topic, perfect segue. I think I saw pictures of you guys at Star Wars, the Star Wars area, right? That's kind of new and stuff. What was that like?
It's epic. And it's coming from, I mean, I know this is going to sound terrible, but I'm not a huge movie person as an adult. Like, you put a movie on, like, that's like a recipe for me to go right to sleep. So I've never been like Harry Potter. I know all about every ride, every Harry Potter attraction, every Harry Potter restaurant and wand that you can have made over at Universal. And then
we'll talk.
The same with
we'll talk. I got you there.
So it's kind of the same with Star Wars. The movies have been on in the background, and, my son loves it, and so does my husband. And so when I went, for the first time to Galaxy's Edge, my mind was absolutely blown. It is like the most immersive experience section, like immersive anything that I think Disney parks has done on both coasts at Disney World and in Disneyland.
Where is that one at?
So Galaxy's Edge is in both. There's Galaxy's Edge
Okay.
in Disney World at Hollywood Studios. And then there is Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, the actual Disneyland park in California. They're both identical in the aspect that, they both have Blackspire Outposts. They both have Smuggler's Run. They both have Rise of the Resistance. So all the attractions and the characters and restaurants are the same, but it's laid out a little bit differently. So, it's definitely interesting to see both sides of it, because it's identical, but also not.
Okay. It's like when you go into an HEB here in Texas,
Yeah.
it's like, it's the same, but it's like, you're like, this is a little bit different. I had that experience today. I went to a different one. I was like, this is a little different than my normal one, but okay.
Where's the bread aisle in this one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and it's massive. It's huge, absolutely huge. And I mean, they've got a Millennium Falcon. Like, I don't know if it's true to size, because I don't know what the true size of a Millennium Falcon is, or an X-Wing or anything like that. But I mean,
it's a standard Corellian freighter, so it's pretty well known.
It's a standard size. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it looks to be it. But, and then the attractions, the technology that they've put into the attractions. So Avatar, Flight of Passage, we were talking about, and I was talking about how just amazing the technology is. They've put that into Galaxy's Edge attractions, but then also added on to it. So it's just kind of like they took one sort of like simulation technology and then put it on steroids, and it's a full experience, the whole thing.
So I think we kind of forget, on our podcast, we talk a lot about Marvel and Star Wars and even Disney to an extent, and kind of which is going to be the older Disney stuff. But there has been so much that's been acquired. So many properties have been acquired by Disney that they have just gone like crazy with all of the different, huge. With all of the different things, and I guess probably the one that like stands out in our minds is going to be the Star Wars stuff and any of the Marvel stuff that's available. But like I'd never heard of the Avatar one. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I didn't even know they had an Avatar ride at.
I didn't even know Disney owned it, but now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They did get that.
So
Right, yeah.
it's all of these different things. So of the new stuff, okay, so Star Wars Galaxy Edge is awesome. Avatar is awesome. Is there anything that's newer, or whatever that's like a must see? Because I mean, in my head, I think, okay, we're going to Disney. We've got to do all of the classic rides for, especially when they're little, right? Let's do the classic rides. Not necessarily get them out of the way, but get them out of the way. And then where do we need to go? You know, from there, where are the dads gonna like really rock out with like their childhood nerd stuff? Like that, what are they gonna dig on the most?
Well, I mean, obviously the Galaxy's Edge stuff, which this is not open yet, but it is being built, which is the Star Wars Hotel. That's, I mean, just like uber fan. I mean, it's like a must do. So it's.
All I think of is the cantina, and it's just like the little.
If that's not playing 24/7 in the background, I don't even want to go.
There is the
I don't want to go if it
cantina
is.
there is a cantina in Galaxy's Edge, which is awesome. It's such a cool bar.
That's awesome.
And that is the exact song that plays the whole time. But like the wine is blue. I can't remember what was it called? I can't remember what they called my wine. It was like a Chardonnay, but it was blue. So, and they've got drinks in there that foam and that numb your mouth. And I mean, it's a epic experience for sure. And it's very exclusive. You know, it's hard to get a reservation for. You can only spend 45 minutes in there. It's a two drink minimum. So it's like in, out. Yeah. Cause well, kind of pre-COVID. So the restrictions have loosened a little bit in there now just because, you know, capacity is down, but yeah, it was almost impossible to get in. Like I had a lot of clients as soon as it opened that wanted reservations, and I spent days online getting them reservations for Ogas.
Could I stay longer if I pound more drinks faster? Is that a thing? Is that an option?
Maybe if they lose count.
Exactly. Too funny. That's awesome.
So yeah. So the Star Wars Hotel is on track to open next year. We have been told that reservations may open by the end of this year. So basically we would be able to start booking guests at the Galactic Star Cruiser. That's what it's called, by the end of this year. But we're getting close to that, and I haven't heard a word. So I'm assuming it's probably been pushed back. But so yeah, Star Wars, the Galactic Star Cruiser, that is the hotel that'll be opening up next year. But it's not like a hotel you check in, you know, for 5 or 6 days, check out, you know, whatever day you want to. It's almost like a cruise experience. You know, like when you do a 3-night cruise, you're on that cruise ship for 3 nights, 4 days. Everybody checks in at the same time. Everybody checks out at the same time. So this is the exact same thing. Everybody checks in at the exact same time. You check in for 2 nights. You don't leave the resort except for once for your excursion. And your excursion is over into Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios. Again, it's not open, so none of this is firsthand experience. This is all just kind of like research. But in a nutshell, the guests pretty much interact with one another as basically like this, like kind of like live role playing, like storyline. And they also interact with the characters as well. So there's characters in this resort, which is, pretty much a first if I'm thinking of every Disney resort. Like there aren't characters typically just roaming the hotel, interacting with people unless you're dining with them. So yeah, you check in for 2 nights, check out, do your excursion over in the park. And so yeah, hopefully I'll know more next year. Hopefully we get to go on a tour.
If you need volunteers for that, I think Trey, myself, and Brian are more than willing to bite that bullet and do that for you. We will do it.
Hey.
Volunteers, tribute, like we don't mind, guys.
Note taken.
I don't know.
You might have to fight Bo for that one.
I can take it.
He can come too.
That's
Does
true.
the resort let droids in there though? Because I don't want to see any droids at the resort.
We don't serve their kind here.
Well, I mean, Urban still doesn't have an iPhone. That's really what I'm talking about.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Well, you can build your own droid in Hollywood Studios, so I'm assuming those droids will be allowed in.
With your stupid funny jokes.
I'm trying to think of other new things kind of in the pipeline.
Marvel?
Didn't
they have Marvel?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah.
Well, so over at DCA, California Adventure Park, one day when they decide to open the doors again to those parks, Marvel Campus is, from what I understand, ready to go. So that's pretty much where kind of all of these, well-known superheroes that you guys have probably been following your whole lives, that's where they'll all be found. So Black Panther, Spider-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, that will kind of be their stomping ground over in California, will be at California Adventure Park. And so I know they've got a couple of attractions that will be in that land. One of them is Web Slingers. It's a Spider-Man themed attraction. The simulation ride, from what I know, again, it's not open yet, so I've never ridden it, obviously. Simulation type of attraction, something to do with web, like the spider webs.
Hopefully it's
then,
less dangerous than the Broadway musical they tried to do a couple of years ago. Well, it's probably a decade ago now. You guys remember that?
I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, I don't.
Irvin? They tried to do a Broadway show. I think it was Spider-Man Into the Dark, and it kept getting. Hold on, let's see if Trey remembers this. Trey, you done babysitting? Do you remember the Spider-Man Broadway show they tried to do several years ago?
No, probably for good reason.
No, okay, so it was called Into the Dark, and it did not get off the ground because it had so many injuries. Like, people kept trying to do the Spider-Man stuff, and they kept falling down and breaking legs and shit.
Awesome.
No one remembers that? Okay, hold on. So
No.
you're saying if you go to the Avengers complex, I could meet Black Panther the way I could meet Mickey and Goofy and stuff like that?
Yeah, so you can actually meet, if Disneyland California Adventure Park, if it were open right now, Black Panther would be around, Spider-Man would be around, Captain America, I think he would make certain appearances, but he's never been just kind of roaming like the others, but Avengers, you'll see
Obviously,
them.
he's too busy. He's coordinating with, leading the Avengers.
Okay, but
Yeah.
is it the same thing for Galaxy's Edge where the heroes of Star Wars like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Blando Blobrizian show up?
So they are typically not in Galaxy's Edge. Typically who you're going to see there is Darth Vader, the Stormtroopers, Chewbacca, Rey.
So no Schlamblow though.
I've never. No, I pretty much see just the same ones kind of romping around there. There is a girl, I cannot think of her name right now, with purple hair.
Oh, it's General Holdo. Everyone's
That's
favorite
the main
character.
attraction.
Laura Dern.
That's actually
Laura
Brian's
Dern.
favorite character.
Yeah.
That's probably just Laura Dern just trying to relive her glory days.
Exactly what she's
She
doing.
just dresses up and she's like, "Hey guys, do you remember me from your favorite Star Wars movie?" And all the kids are like, "Ugh, no," and they spit on her and leave.
But then she's like,
Oh,
well,
geez.
maybe if they would make a Jurassic Park, then I could be in that one too.
Oh,
Yeah, okay,
gosh.
actually that segues very nicely. So you're in the travel business and you're aware of the history of the Jurassic Park parks with killing their attendants. Would you have any ethical qualms about sending families to Jurassic Park knowing there's always that likelihood that they will escape the park and kill your clients?
So I'm going to say for liability purposes, that's a big no.
Yes,
That's
perfect answer.
probably reasonable. And you're not going to get the repeat clientele, right? Because they're,
Not coming back.
yeah.
But it's dinosaurs. I take
There
that
is a
risk.
new Jurassic Park ride opening up at Universal, which is supposed to be really epic in the next year.
Wait,
Ooh,
did Disney buy the rights?
How versed are you in Universal stuff? Out of curiosity, because I know, obviously, I'd have to imagine people going to Orlando are going to be like, "Hey, we're here. Like, what do you know about that?"
Yeah. Yeah, so I do book a lot of what we call a split stay between Disney World and Universal, or I'll have families stay at Disney the whole time, but they just, their kids are huge Harry Potter fans, so they want to go to Universal. So Harry Potter is a huge draw over there.
Yeah. Surprised the ears haven't, stolen that yet.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what they've done over there too, with Harry Potter. So I'm very familiar with, the resorts over there, the parks, the attractions. do I know it like I know the back of my hand, like I know Disney? Maybe like 90% as familiar with Universal as I am Disney. So, I mean, definitely gonna help somebody who's never been there before. I've been several times myself and very recently. One of the most confusing things there over at Universal is, which resort is the best, because there are certain perks to staying at different hotels. Like if you stay at their top tier hotels, you get the unlimited express pass for free, which is huge because you basically get to skip the lines at all of the rides. And so you stay at a nicer hotel, so you pay a more premium price for your resort, but you're not waiting in lines. And people will pay money for that all day long, whereas Disney doesn't offer anything like that. So Disney and Universal are extremely, day and night different, from experience to the staff to the rides to the intensity of the rides at Universal is insane compared to Disney.
Really? Okay. Super cool, man. Yeah, Harry Potter Land is definitely an area I want to attend at some point too.
Yeah, I would put that up to like Galaxy's Edge as far as just pure immersiveness. Like you literally walk through. There's basically like this wall, like an archway, and you like walk around it, and it's like you're there. You're in Diagon Alley, and there's no other world outside of it. It's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of what's going on over in Marvel campus over at DCA. So I'm excited to check that out, especially having a son who, just really kind of getting into that. He was actually Captain America for Halloween. Cute. Yeah. So I had, it's been like princesses and Minnie and Daisy, for 6 years. So now we're getting into the superheroes. I'm like, wow, I really need to step up my game here.
Yeah, you do. That's awesome. Oh man, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of Bo being a dad and getting to experience that with his son. You
come get Parker Howard whenever you want to. So yeah, I think that's pretty much like what's as far as like new kind of in that realm. There's other new attractions. I don't know if you wanted me to jump into any of those. There's always something going on, something changing, something being built or renovated or rethemed at all of the parks. So
very cool. Trey, you look like you're about to ask something. You're like,
well, I was going to say,
that's just his face, man.
No, I was just going to say, or ask, I guess, what is your favorite Disney movie?
I'm like the classic, like, probably have to say Little Mermaid.
Okay, that's fair.
Like that kind of classic.
And that's her go-to. The VHS tape that got wore out, multiple times, and had to buy several copies of it because they watched it on repeat over and over and over again. So, and now Elizabeth likes it too. So
yeah, exactly. I remember watching it even all the way up. Through college. That was the only DVD I had in my laptop, and I'd watch it every night in the sorority house.
That's nice. Amazing. Brian, what's your favorite Disney movie?
What is your favorite Disney movie?
Probably The Empire Strikes Back.
So stupid. He's technically not right. Princess Leia is a Disney princess. Yeah, it counts.
Yeah, that's true.
Nerd.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I didn't touch on was you guys like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be a new attraction coming to Disney World over in Epcot. It's actually a new roller coaster, which is a big deal because Epcot is really upping their game and adding more attractions, which is very needed at that park. So that will be a new attraction. Again, they're working on it now. They're test running it like literally as we speak. And then over at Disneyland at California Adventure Park, they have a Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is the ride over there. So Trey, do you remember Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios? Did you do that?
Yep, I did do that.
Okay, so it's the exact same format and same ride and technology as Tower of Terror, but they've rethemed it to be Guardians of the Galaxy. So the thought of, or kind of like the storyline behind the ride is you're basically, over at Tower of Terror, you're basically in an elevator shaft,
right?
Like a haunted elevator shaft, and it breaks. And so kind of the same concept without giving away the ride completely, but it's the same concept over at Mission Breakout in California. But Rocket, the raccoon, is essentially like frying your your ride that you're in. And but the music is epic. Like your butt comes off the seat. It's pretty amazing.
That's cool. I love Guardians.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
something to
really,
look forward to.
it's a really
When
cool,
is that supposed to
really
come
cool
out?
ride. So Mission Breakout is already there.
Oh, it's already live.
It's been
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah. They took Tower of Terror that was over in California, and they just rethemed it with Guardians. So they put like all that really good soundtrack to it. They put all those characters in the ride, made it a little bit like darker, but also like brighter colors at the same time, if that makes any sense. So same ride that's been there, just completely rethemed. And I tend to think that one is bigger than the one in Disney World. I'm not sure. That could be a total lie. But it seems bigger when it drops.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah. You've got to go. I cannot believe you haven't been.
I know. I need to work on it. 2021. That'll be a goal. That'll be, instead of traveling somewhere, I'll do that.
It's traveling for sure.
It is true.
So yeah, those are kind of the other kind of big ones. I mean, there's, like I said, there's always something coming and going and new and improved and renovated, kind of always happening in all the parks. So it's ever changing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brian, any questions? I can't see your face, your stupid face. I mean, your beautiful, stupid face.
Great save, Irvin. That was just
I thought so.
graceful and elegant.
I try.
Okay, not so much your favorite movie, but have we already talked about your favorite ride?
We did.
Yeah, that was the Avatar one.
Oh, that's
Avatar,
right. That's
Flight
right.
of Passage, hands down. I mean, I've got a different favorite ride at each park, but if I had to choose one ride, and like, dare I say it is the best ride in all of Disney parks, it would without a doubt be Flight of Passage. And I would probably go to say that 95% of people that have ridden every ride in Disney parks would say the same.
Why do you think?
Well, I don't know. Rise of the Resistance is up there. It's up there.
Okay, that's the new Star Wars one.
Yes, yeah.
Why do you think Disney parks have been such an enduring thing in your life, both before and after you had kids?
I guess it's kind of twofold, taking like I was saying earlier, just taking your kids and experiencing all of these little moments that you did as a kid, and you have pictures of, with your parents. Like as a mom, it is kind of an unreal, like almost like, as cliche as it sounds, kind of like an out of body experience when your kids do these things for the first time and they meet their first princess, and they're running up to every single character. I mean, talk about like mom tears. It's very real. I mean, I would probably say like 95% of my moms that go will text me and they're like, "You told me I would cry and you were so right."
That's so cute.
So, I mean, a lot of it is kind of seeing truly the magic behind your children's eyes, because, to us, we know what's going on. We know there's a body inside of that character, but they have no idea, and even at 4 or 5, 6 years old, the magic is still very much so there for them, and the make-believe and just the full experience of it all. I also think, in this day and age, especially right now, it really kind of allows kids to be little, which is something that, our world is so fast paced, and we're so ready for them to be able to make their own breakfast and, wipe their own butts. And so when they're at Disney, it's just kind of like, they're just able to be a kid and do all the things that little kids should do, and things they don't want to do, they don't have to do. And you as a parent, you're literally in the happiest place on earth. So if they want to chase the duck, by all means, let them chase the duck. If they want to jump on the beds, let them jump on the beds. Because, I mean, that's truly, in my opinion, that's what it's all about. But we do get, a lot of flack, because a lot of times we go without our kids. And people are like, "What on earth are you doing at Disney without your kids again?" First of all, a lot of it is research. Like, there's a lot of work and research and like sheer,
research. I'm over here doing air quotes, y'all. Research.
Research.
We go for a lot of. We go for a lot
Irvin,
of
your
content
visual
creation.
flares in this audio podcast are always my favorite part.
All the eye
We have to
rolls,
capture
the
that.
head nods, and the thumbs
Well,
up.
they-
and-
you gotta tell the people, you know.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times when we do go, it's exhausting. It's super fast paced, but you're kind of in a bubble when you're there, man. Like there's just not, when you're there, you're just so immersed into whatever park you're in, whatever ride you're on, that you kind of don't, even if you have a mask on your face in 90 degrees in August, you don't think of COVID. You know what I mean? Like you feel safe. There's so much going on around you. Like I have to remind myself, oh, I absolutely, like I've got emails to get to, and I've got campaigns I have to set up and newsletters I've got to send out. So, you're just in this kind of in this bubble where, kind of life is going on outside of Disney, but when you're in it, that's all that there is. And it's kind of a cool feeling. And most people will say like, yeah, I felt like I was in a bubble.
That's awesome. This is going to be my final question. I don't know if you boys have anything lined up, but well, I guess it's kind of a two-part. 3 things that every person has to do at Disney, whether it's land or world. So 3 things they have to do, and then some tips, like to your, just like common tips, like, oh, use the restroom at this side over here. No one goes to that one, like type of thing. Some tips for the listeners that they can use if they end up going, something that isn't known to the common folks out there.
Okay. So for like top 3 things I have to do, like rides.
Whatever experience. So, I mean, I feel like we kind of have a summary of what you've said before. It's the Avatar ride. You're saying that it's very immersed for the Star Wars Galaxy's Quest, and
Right.
so top 3 things. It could be a ride, just an attraction. It could be dinner, whatever you think is just absolutely noteworthy. Like you have to kind of do this.
Ooh, making me think. There's so many.
See?
I mean, one of the things that, I didn't really think was a huge deal, my first time going with my daughter, was the parade. You just kind of were like, oh, it's just taking up my time. I could go take advantage of shorter wait times because all these people are out here waiting hours for this parade. But the parades are a must do. I mean, they're so extravagant, and the music and the characters interact with you. It's not like they're just, riding on this float, waving in midair. I mean, they're looking at your kids, they're winking at them, they're talking to them, they're stopping and they're hugging them and shaking their hands pre-COVID. So the parades they're a really big deal, and they change all the time. So it's not like the same parade that you did 2 years ago is going to be the same parade that's going on, next year. And then they also change with the holidays. So which probably leads me into my next pointer is to go, obviously don't call it a one and done trip, because you're going to regret it and you're going to eat your words, because I probably don't have a single client out of almost 2,000 that would say I'm never going back. So, make sure that you kind of like, take it a day at a time, and go multiple times during, not in 1 year, but go during multiple seasons. For example, to go during, the springtime when it's just kind of, in summertime where it's just kind of like your traditional parks, is vastly different than when you step into a park in October and it's like decked out for the fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween. And then when you go for Christmas, completely different theming. The characters are dressed different. The decorations are different. The music is different. The parades are completely different. So I think it's a really different experience to go during different seasons. So like I'll actually have a lot of return clients coming saying, hey, we went during Christmas last year. We'd love to be there for Halloween this year. And then leading into my third point, wow, that was a really good segue, is to be there for the turn of the seasons. And so what that is, or the turn of the holidays. So if you time it right, and I work with a lot of families to do this, and I've done it myself several times. If you time it right, you can actually be there for Halloween and Christmas. And by that, I don't mean you're there for 2 months. I mean, you're there for the Halloween decor, and you're also there for the Christmas decor, and you're there for the Halloween party. And then if you're there long enough, which would probably be like 8 days, 9 days, you could also be there for the Christmas party. So it's called like the turning of the seasons or turning of the holidays. And so like for example, last year we arrived on like the day before Halloween, did the Halloween party, got all of the Halloween things out. And then when we woke up the next morning and we were in Magic Kingdom, it was Christmas. So it's just a really cool, kind of change of everything. And it's amazing how they take the amount of decor they have, that's all Halloween, and overnight change it to Christmas. And I'm talking like wreaths on every pole, and, Mickey pumpkin heads changed into more wreaths and bows, and Christmas music instead of Halloween music, and snow on Main Street and versus candy. And so it's pretty amazing. So that would probably be top 3. That would probably be my third, is to be there for the turn of the season.
That's a great one. That's pretty cool. I would never have considered that or thought of that, but that's actually awesome. That'd be a great time to go and see that.
Yeah. And then as for tips, oh man, see, this is why I made my ebook, because I was like,
tip
there's
number
so
1,
many.
make sure you read the ebook. Make sure you go through the 18 pages.
Tip number 1, call Stephanie.
Tip number 1, call Stephanie at Traveling Ears.
That's right. There's so much that goes into planning it, but just like kind of little things that a lot of people don't think about are, for example, when you're walking into the front gate, most people tend to just go to the lines to the right, and they're waiting in line to get through security, and there's absolutely nobody to the left. I told all my clients, go to the left. Don't sit there and just wait in line, go around them. Another one is say the park closes at 10. And you really wanted to ride Flight Passage all day long, and the line has been, 2 or 3 hours all day long. As long as you were in line before the park closes, they will let you ride that ride, even if the park is closed. So you'll probably be the last ones out of the park, which is a pretty incredible experience. Same thing with the dining. Yeah, same thing with, there's nothing like being in an empty park. I actually did that for my first time in August. Same thing goes for a dining reservation. If you make the last dining reservation time, which we did at Oga's in Hollywood Studios, not only do they not rush you out, they're going to let you enjoy your drinks, let you enjoy your food. And then when you leave, you are the only person in the park other than the cast members that are walking with you to make sure you find your way out. That's a really, really neat experience. It's hard to do with kids because it's usually late, but another really big tip is just don't pack so much into a day. Your kids, most of the time when you're going with kids, they're little, they can only handle so much. And the more exhausted they are, the worse it's going to be. So I typically, the younger the kids, the lower the expectations need to be, but, kind of go, like I said, a little bit earlier, is it's important to have structure. But it's even more important to not be too overly planned, because there's just this stigma with a Disney vacation right now, and that it's so stressful and, it's so overwhelming. And it can be if you're planning your bathroom breaks and you're planning where you're eating a snack and what time, that's stressful.
Yeah.
I don't even know when I'm going to do that at home.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, a theme park with my 2 kids, running around like maniacs. So that's probably another really big one that most people won't tell you, but having done it so many times in different ways, and with my kids from infants to now 6, is, just go with the flow, but have a little bit of structure to it, to where you know what you need to do and you have a list. And all my clients, they all have touring plans. They know exactly what park they're going to and what order they should do the attractions in, based on the lay of the land, where it's at in the park, and then based on priority, how popular is the ride, how long are the wait times in the morning versus the evening, how likely is the ride to break down in the evening versus in the morning, type of thing. So, that type of plan, but it doesn't say, at 8:02 you need to be here and 9:07 you should be here. It's too much. I could go on forever.
No, you're good. You're good. These are all great tips. It's stuff that like you said, people really wouldn't think about. And so, go to the left.
Oh, one more. Sorry, I've got one more. When it comes to Disney World, a really big thing over there is making sure you're at a resort has good transportation. And because, like I was saying earlier, you can take a bus to some resort, to some parks. You can take a boat. You can take the Skyliner. You can take the monorail. You can Uber. You can taxi. You can take a minivan. So there's all these different options for transportation. And when you've got, multiple kids and strollers and backpacks and sippy cups and all the things, like snacks falling out of your fanny pack, it's easier to be at a resort that has more options for transportation. So that's kind of always something that I try to set my clients up for success with, because it's a lot more stressful when it's they're taking a bus to every single place they're going. I try to get them at a resort to where, they kind of break it up. They take a bus here, they take the Skyliner here, they take the monorail, especially little boys. Like, I know 100%, you put them at a hotel on the Skyliner or the monorail, like the mom and the dad, like they're going to knock it out of the park for that vacation.
Oh yeah. Great start to the trip.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I can go on forever. Follow my Instagram for more tips, because that's typically where I'm posting them.
Awesome. What is, before we get into that, what guys, do y'all have any other questions?
Nah, I'm good. I just know who to call whenever I'm ready.
Traveling ears. I
That's
tried to do
right.
as best like Ghostbusters as I could, but it didn't work.
Better than
That was
I could have
great,
done.
Thanks, Brian.
Stephanie, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
The floor is yours. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can call you if you want them to call you, because you said calling is a big deal. If you want to disclose that on here, website, like any big projects that you have coming up, like this is your time to shine right now. So have at it.
Thank you. What an
Yeah.
honor. I mean, one of the biggest projects kind of coming into 2021 is Disney World's 50th anniversary. So that's a really, really big deal, especially for, like the big Disney fans and even clients that have never been or been once or twice, to go for the 50th anniversary is a huge deal. They usually deck out the castle. I mean, one year they made it look like an entire birthday cake. So I don't know what they have up their sleeves for next year. So my kind of other things on the horizon is just continually, me personally as a travel advisor, is staying on top of the constant evolving changes, because it's every single day. And that's one thing that if you don't stay on top of it every single day, you're lost. You're completely lost. And so especially with dealing with travel kind of all over the world, especially in the Caribbean and Mexico, that's kind of something that's really kind of big on my radar, because that's important that my clients get to where they need and want to go, and they get there safely and with everything that they need to do so. Another thing that I kind of wanted to take note of was, revenge travel is a thing. Have y'all heard that term?
I've heard a similar term, revenge buying, when it came to shopping and people being closed. So I'm assuming it's the same.
Exactly. Or like a revenge bod after like you break up with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing. People are basically just like pissed off. They've been locked up for so long. So they're just like ready to get out. And so revenge travel is a big deal right now. And, even though the parks aren't at 100% capacity, like we are seeing the parks fill up, the resorts fill up. So revenge travel is totally a thing. It's not odd or weird to feel like, hey, I just need to get out of here right now. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But no, so yeah, if you have any interest in travel in general, especially when it comes to Disney or all-inclusive down in the Caribbean, more on the luxury end of all-inclusive, you can visit Instagram is probably where my presence is the largest and where I'm the most active. My handle is Traveling Ears Vacations. Ears like Mickey ears, traveling, because that's what we do. And then
one
my
L or
website
two
is
L's on that?
One L.
One L. Okay.
1L.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, of course, visit our website. Request your quote there if you're wanting to, inquire about a trip, and then I usually set up a phone call from there.
What's the website?
I'm also on travelingears.com.
I figured, but
we
got to throw it out there.
Travelingears.com. Yeah. And then Facebook is also Traveling Ears, just 1L. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Trying to get up on YouTube more. I'm just not a video person. But I'm working on it, because video is such a big deal, especially with travel right now. And people really want to visually see what's going on in Jamaica and Mexico and Turks and Caicos and the parks, kind of all over. So YouTube will apparently be a thing for us in the future.
I think that'll be a hit. I think that'll be a hit.
Yeah. My last YouTube video, I got like 1,000 views. I was like, what? 1,000 views? Like that's something like amazing. It's not.
That's a huge accomplishment. I think I have like 3 views on one of my videos. So I'm like, yeah, no.
My previous one's
awesome.
Exact same YouTube channel, I have like 3 views. I'm like, I don't know what happened, why this one like blew up like it did. But I was like, I'm like a YouTuber apparently now. I've got to keep up
Nice.
with it.
There you go.
So anyways, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate this. And I had a lot of fun with you.
Thank you for coming. This was awesome, informative, and it's always just great catching up with you as well.
Yes. Next up is getting you to a park. My goodness.
Yes. No, that's really going to happen. Everything that
have
you
to.
talked about, from Star Wars to the Avatar ride, I didn't even know I wanted to go on that. Now I want to go on that. So
I didn't even know I wanted it, but now I
yeah,
do.
I need it.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely wonderful. We look forward to it, guys. Traveling Ears on Instagram, on YouTube, travelingears.com. Make sure that you go and follow her and support her, and then, reach out to her for your traveling needs, not only Disney, but obviously that's the emphasis, but also, anything else.
That's right. Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I need another drink. I'm out.
Well, you heard Trey's drink clank and Brian's yawn, so you know it's time for us to head on out. Thanks again for joining us. We'll catch you on the next episode. And remember, stay nerdy, my friends.